What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files Reacts, the show that we do on the side from time to time where we talk about our favorite movies, TV shows, and video games. Today, Gabe and I are talking about Yellowjackets, Season 3, Episodes 7 and 8. So if you haven't seen those, then definitely go and check those out. But yeah, we'll be going full spoilers on those and making theories for the last couple episodes in the season. But as always, you can reach out to us on Twitter and Discord, which are linked down in the description. If you'd like to support us, you can do so on Patreon, where you can watch these episodes live as we record them, and you can participate in the chat and hang out with us and see these episodes days or even weeks before they ever go up to YouTube. So check that out if you'd like to do so. But otherwise, we are going to go straight into it. Episodes 7 and 8. Gabe, we only have 2 more episodes until the end of the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how many there would be, but that's crazy. Although it feels like the buildup is going that way. It feels like the next 2 episodes are going to be the last.
Yeah, it feels like everything is ramping up, and I'm not even really
crazy.
Yeah. The last episode was crazy, and like it's interesting because there hasn't really been. I don't know. Maybe that changes a little bit with episode 8, but there hasn't really been like a major bad guy this season. Like in the previous season, the like bad guy was like Thaisa doing her like sleepwalking thing, and Lottie with like the whole cult thing, and those were kind of the things that everybody was trying to overcome. And this season, it hasn't really felt like there's like a bad guy or like
it hasn't felt like there's a new bad guy. I feel like we're just seeing more of the old, like the old bad guy and the old issues that are coming up.
Yeah, we're getting, we've said this before, but we're getting a lot of the like supernatural side of things, like a lot of the the guy with no eyes. When he popped up in that last episode, I was like, oh my god, fuck, I forgot about him.
And he was there for like 12 seconds, like just standing behind somebody, and I was like, holy crap, dude.
Yep.
Who is that?
I know. What is that guy?
Who is that?
Like, I don't know if it's like the spirit of the forest or what it's supposed to be. But he was standing next to Thaisa, and she even had that moment where she like ran up to the door, and when Van was in the hospital.
Yep.
And she's like, let me in. And then her other self is on the other side of the door.
You don't have what it takes. You can't do what I need to do.
Right. Yeah, that was super crazy. And she's got like the other Thaisa has all this like dark stuff around her mouth, which is a really interesting visual. It makes her look so just creepy and weird. But yeah, just in general, what did you think of these 2 episodes? Did they do it for you?
Yeah, they definitely did it for me, because I had been trying to watch 4, 5, and 6, right? And I did watch them, and they were great. But then episode 7 starts, and it's like what I feel like episode 7 was what everybody was hoping that would happen happened, right? Somebody else showed up.
Yeah.
Somebody else showed up, right? And from day 1, that was like my hope, like maybe they can find their way out. What's going on? That turns into an absolute shit show.
Yes.
Just a mess. And then of course, 8, we kind of start to see the real life, portion of, I guess, that time, all this stuff paying off from that.
Yeah, we see repercussions from everything that happened with these like adventurers, these people that are looking for these frogs.
Yeah.
And I guess with that, let's go right into talking about episode 7, because that was crazy. We get like all these it's like literally like 7 days earlier or something, and we see them walking through the wilderness, and there was this weird like vibe between the three of them. Like the one
There,
guy,
I caught on to this so fast, dude.
what's that?
The husband of the boyfriend of the girl that's
Mhm.
checking out frogs is like kind of a nerdy dude, right? Little weird. And the chick was like she was obsessed with the guide.
Yeah, what was up with that?
Dude, she was like, remember that scene where he like holds up a log and she's got to walk past him and she like just rubs her shit all over him.
Oh,
Like
really? I didn't see
yeah,
that.
dude, she like rubs up against him like front to butt and just rubs up, oh, excuse me, sorry, and it's like looking at him all crazy and I was like, what is going on here, dude?
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, I wish we had gotten more, and maybe we will because they're both still alive.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe we'll get more with her and Cody. But yeah, that whole thing, I was like, dude, your boyfriend is like right there, and
And
even
but
he's
the boyfriend would see it and be like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
right.
You
Yeah,
know, like,
I was like, what the fuck
come
is
on,
going
man,
on with this guy?
stand up for yourself.
Yeah,
God dang
for
it.
real. I was like, what is going on with this guy? And even he says to her, he's like, you're smitten with him.
Yeah.
And she like doesn't deny it at
Yep.
all.
She is 100%.
Yeah.
Totally.
And she's kind of got just like crazy girl vibes. Like
Definitely.
just kind of
Definitely
like
crazy girl vibes.
kind of crazy eyes like
Yep.
yeah. I was like, what is going on here?
She
It
does
was
have really her eyes are huge. Especially
yeah.
when later on when she's like, after they find the chicks, the girls and stuff,
Yeah.
her eyes look bugged out
Right.
24/7.
So anyway, so they're like they're like they found these frogs that are like really special, and then as soon as they like end up getting to the camp, Lottie just comes up behind Edwin and hits him with a hatchet.
That was crazy.
I w-
It was like I was not expecting that to happen so fast.
yeah, I was like, oh, we just got this whole scene like getting to know Edwin and seeing
Yep.
this whole thing with him and
And
Hannah
Lottie
and all
just
stuff.
comes in all crazy, and then she starts licking the blood out of his skull. She's like just
Yeah,
munching on it.
I was like,
Crazy,
what the hell?
crazy
And
chick.
it was also crazy how like in episode 7 and episode 8 she's like telling everybody like no, we got to kill these adventurers, like we don't want to go back, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yes, we do want to go back. And she's just like, no, this isn't how it's supposed to happen, like we're like we don't belong out there anymore, we belong here. And people are like, are you nuts? Like
Yeah.
what the hell? Um, and I just Lottie has completely gone off the deep end, which
She's crazy, dude.
yeah, and it makes sense because we find out in the present day timeline that she had gone to like a mental institution,
Yep.
and
Well,
we
we know
didn't.
that from the beginning too, because when the series first starts, they crash, and her antipsychotic meds, she only has
Yeah,
a couple of them, right? And she
right,
confides in one of the other girls and says, "Listen, when these meds are gone, like, I have issues. Like, this is gonna be a
right,
problem."
right.
So,
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to make you wonder like how much of what's happening is
yeah,
like Lottie and how much of it, like now that we know a little bit more about Shauna, it's like how
yeah,
much of it is Shauna.
yeah, no shit.
Um and yeah, it's really interesting, but she goes ham and just throws this hatchet in the back of Edwin's
Yeah,
head.
just literally punches a hole in his skull with the hatchet. And the
Yeah.
and the part that scared me more than the hatchet going in the back of his skull is him like not knowing what happened and then like
Ah,
touching his head.
ah.
It's like, listen, dude, you're already dead. Like she
Yep.
put a hole in your brain. Like you are
Right.
dying. You cannot survive this. And he's
Oh.
just like doesn't know what's happening. I'm like, oh my god, dude,
Yeah.
brutal.
It was horrifying. It reminded me of like some like Saw stuff or something.
Yeah,
Like
crazy
something
stuff,
from
violent stuff.
yeah. I was like, oh my God. When that happened, I
Yeah.
was like, you've got to be kidding me, Lottie.
Literally, like 3 seconds after they even were in sight of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just ran down the hill and were like, "Oh, hi, what are you guys doing?" You know, they saw them doing the seance or whatever.
Yeah.
Lottie murks him.
Yeah. And it's just like Lottie, just like Shauna, like she doesn't want to go back. And so
Yeah.
she's trying to eliminate
Yep.
any possibility of them getting
Yeah.
back. So they run away. Cody and Hannah run away, and it begins like this whole pursuit through the wilderness. Um, but in present day, Shauna is like listening to this tape, and it's everything that we just saw play out, right? Um, and Shauna is like so manipulative with Jeff. And we eventually see Callie sitting on the other side of the wall. And this is the moment where she's had enough of her mom because Shauna goes up to Jeff and she's like, I gotta go out for a bit. And he's like, why can't we go out for a bit? Like, you tell us that we can't do anything. Like, I wanna help. Like, I wanna go do something. And she's like, no, you are helping. I just need you to stay here. And he's like, no, Shauna. He's like, I'm sick of this. And she's like, you can see her like think about it for a second. And then she's like, okay, you know what would actually help? And Jeff's like, what can I do? And she's like, keep an eye on Callie. Like, really keep an eye on Callie. Because she's like, I think this is like affecting her in a big way.
Mm.
And Jeff is so he's like a puppy dog. Like he's
Yeah.
so eager to
He's like,
please.
okay, yes, yes, I will do that.
He's like, oh really? He's like, you think I should keep an eye on her? Like, okay, okay. And he like gets all like into it, and she's like, tell you what, like, why don't you order food? You can be in charge of ordering food. Just giving him like these meaningless
Yep.
tasks just for him to like be busy so that she doesn't have to fucking deal with him.
Yeah.
And it's so obvious throughout these past couple seasons that Shauna like doesn't really give a shit about her family. Like
No.
she really doesn't. Like I think there's like part of her that like wants to protect them, but when it comes to like when everything is like quiet and when everything is good, like she still doesn't get along with Jeff. She
Yeah.
still doesn't get along with Callie. It's like do you even want to be like a wife or a mom or anything? Like what are
Yeah.
you doing all this for?
Something I
Um
noticed too in these two episodes were like seeing the flashbacks of them in the forest,
mm,
noticing how just like I don't know if you paid attention to this, but I did. But Shauna's face in every scene in the flashback, she's just like so violently angry. Like
oh yeah,
doesn't
just like
matter.
resting bitch face
Doesn't
all the
resting
time.
bitch face, like just so furious.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's happening. I think there's one scene where her and I forgot her name, the chick that has the backwards hat, blonde hair,
Melissa.
Melissa, um, where Melissa kind of breaks down her barriers for just a second, but even in that second,
Yeah.
all she's doing is being manipulative.
Right. Yep.
She's just trying to console this chick that's worked up, right?
Right. Yep.
So it just gave me such a bad vibe for her because I feel like before these episodes, like seeing the flash forwards, I was like, okay, maybe she's normalized a little bit. Maybe she's like not as crazy as she was.
Yeah,
She
I
is
thought I thought
unique.
Shauna was like the most normal person
Yep,
out of all of
I
them.
did too. And after seeing the flashbacks and then now the flash forwards, not the case. Not the
Right.
case at all.
Right. Yeah, totally. Like she is so messed up and I didn't get the chance to watch it, but I saw a YouTube video thumbnail and I want to go back and watch it because it looks really interesting. But the thumbnail is Shauna's face all bloody, and then it's like Melissa next to her because she had just like bitten the
Yep.
chunk off her arm, and she's like holding up the knife,
Uh,
and the title of the thumbnail said, "It's all in her head," with an arrow pointing to Shauna. And I'm like,
whoa.
I wonder. maybe there's a good theory out there about like
Yeah.
everything that's happened is all Shauna's doing, because the big question, this is more like episode 8 stuff, but like, did Shauna kill Lottie?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
we don't know, but there's people pointing fingers.
yeah, because it really, for a minute, it really seemed like it was Thaisa.
Yeah.
And then it really seemed like it was Shauna.
Yep.
And then yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
talk about that in the right
Yeah.
episode. But yeah, it gets pretty crazy. Um, so then when I have this note that is no longer accurate, um, but my note here was I was like halfway through episode 7,
Yeah.
and the note says, "Oh, Hannah's kid Alex is the one hunting them down. It's not a modern day Melissa." I'm like, that was a great red herring, because the whole season leads you to believe, with Melissa getting so much screen time, you start to believe that she's the one that's doing all this stuff to them. Um, and so for me, I was when I found out that Hannah had a kid, or did I say Alexa? Alex.
No, you
Um,
said Alex.
oh,
I,
okay.
I I read this quote though, and I think I missed where you would have thought this. I
Oh,
remember her having a kid, but I can't remember why the kid would be the culprit.
yeah. It was when they're in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and like Thaisa, Van, Misty, and Shauna are all in the car together, and they're heading to Alex's place, basically, or they're going to like find Alex.
Okay.
And then
But
along the
they're
way,
going to find
Van,
him because, and I think this probably happened in a prior episode because I didn't watch 4, 5, and 6 as hard as I did 7 and 8.
sure,
So because the phone was left in the bathroom, that was one thing,
yeah,
right?
and then the brakes.
Then the brakes, and so how did they trace it back to Alex? I guess is my
So
question.
the way that they traced it back to Alex was, in present day, they get this tape, and when they finally listen to it, they're like, "Oh my God, this is the night that we killed Edwin, who is probably Alex's father," because they knew that Hannah had a kid.
Oh
Um,
shit. Okay.
because in the tape, Hannah's saying, "Alex, my sweet baby, like if you ever hear this, like I just want you to know that your mother did everything she could, and like I love you so much," and like it's basically her saying goodbye to her daughter.
Okay, so Hannah is the chick, the
Yeah,
Edwin's girl. Okay, I
right.
think in my head I'm confusing Hannah and Melissa.
Oh, oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. Couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, Hannah's the chick that we
Hannah's
were
the
talking
girl.
about with like the big eyes,
Yeah.
like that
Yep.
was,
No, I'm on board now.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hannah, she's the one who made the tape that they're all
Yep.
listening to. And in the tape, she's like saying goodbye to her kid
Yeah.
because she doesn't know if she's gonna like die or not.
Yeah.
And it's assumed that Edwin is Alex's father, right?
Yep.
Um, and so when they find the tape, they're like, "Oh my God, she had like a daughter or whatever." Um, like, I wonder if it's the daughter that is hunting us down for like retribution for like
Yeah.
killing her
Yep.
father.
Yep.
And they do say that Hannah dies at some point. And so, we haven't seen Hannah die, but in present day, she's
Yeah.
dead. So they're thinking that Alex is like hunting them down. Um, but like prior to that, the show made you think that it was a modern day Melissa that was hunting them down. But in this episode in the car, they talk about Alex, and in my note here I say, "Man, that was a great red herring," because it I was totally on board thinking that it was Melissa hunting them down, and turns out Hannah had this kid who's probably the one doing it. On top of that, uh Thaisa, I think it's Thaisa that says Jen and Melissa got pretty close with Hannah. Um, and then Van says, "Yeah, but they're both dead." And it's like, oh, we're finally getting confirmation that these two people are dead. Like, before we didn't have that. We didn't know
Yeah.
if Melissa was still alive in modern day. Um, and so my note here says, damn, like the show is just like straight up telling us this.
Yeah.
This all gets undone in the next episode.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
And it's like it completely. So I guess my whole point to all of this, the reason I explain all of that step by step, is that I really love the roller coaster ride that these two episodes take you on, is because for most of this season you believe one thing, and they announce like the casting of
Yep.
what's her name, and I'm like, oh, she looks like Melissa. I bet, I
Yeah.
bet, I bet that's Melissa. And then you find out, oh, Melissa's dead. So it's like, oh, wait, that's not
Who?
Melissa.
Yeah.
Like,
Who could that be?
yeah. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, is she playing? Is she playing an adult Alex? And so for the rest of episode 7, I was like, whatever the famous actress was, I was like, oh, I bet she's the adult Alex. And it's not until later in episode 8 where I'm like, oh my god, no, it is Melissa. And it's like going back and forth, but not in a way where I'm like, make up your mind already.
Yeah.
It was more
More like,
like,
this is awesome. Like, I don't know
yeah,
what's
I'm like,
happening.
this is awesome, because it's
Yeah.
it's literally like messing with my head
Yep.
in real time,
Yep.
making me second guess myself and making me like doubt what I thought before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is why the show is so good. Is because you can have a theory and that theory could be right, but then the show tells you that that theory is wrong. Fuck you.
Yep.
And then you get a couple episodes later and you're like, no, fuck you, I was right. Like,
Yeah.
it's so good. I love it so much. Let's see what the actress's name is. Hilary Swank. That's who I was. Yeah, Hilary Swank. Yeah, she got announced, and it was like, oh, well, she's like a dead ringer for Melissa, and then it's like, oh, maybe she's Alex. So then we find out Walter calls Misty, and he tells her that Shauna's hair that he took from her matches DNA found on Lottie. So they're all like texting each other like, Shauna's the one that did it. Shauna's the one that did it. And I love how quickly they all turn on each other. But honestly, like, I think it's so funny that everybody is like asking each other, like, or like telling each other, like, I know you're the one that killed Lottie. Like, I know that you're the one that did it. But like, even if one of them admitted to it, I don't think anybody would do anything about it, because they've all killed people. Like, I don't think they would care if Shauna
they're
was the
all
one
guilty by association at this point.
Yeah, like I don't think they'd do anything to Shauna. They'd be like, really, Shauna, you killed Lottie?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, you bitch.
That's all that would happen.
Yeah. And so I think it's funny because, like, I don't think anybody actually cares who killed Lottie. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like Misty does care, but maybe not for the reasons why you would assume.
Yeah.
I think Misty's like the citizen detective, right? Like, she's really, really just trying to get to the bottom of a mystery. But yeah, who knows?
Okay, yeah, I liked this quote from Misty where, okay, well, actually, first, before that, Van starts vomiting blood in the car, and I was like, oh my god, like, it's just like blood fountaining out of her. So they get her to a hospital, and Thaisa tells
this part's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, she tells like a little bit of a lie, and she tells the doctor, she's like, I'm her wife, like, I'm coming in. They're like, okay, they let her in. And then Misty's right behind her, and Misty says, she says, I'm not immediate family, but we have a very close trauma bond. That made me laugh out loud.
Yep.
I really like her delivery sometimes. So then back in the teen timeline, I just love this God, Hannah is such a weird character. I'm just like, I mean, she's obviously like traumatized. Like she's seen like so many dead people. She saw Edwin die in front of her.
And not only that, when they first got there, they saw Coach's head on a platter.
Right,
Like,
yeah, exactly. They saw Coach's head on a platter. Um, and I just love this moment where she they like go and get her and they bring her back and she walks into the camp and she just goes, "Hi, I'm Hannah." And it's just like this really just like weird moment where it's like, oh my God, it's about to be crazy. And we all know that she doesn't survive it, so something
yeah,
awful is going to happen to her. Um, and then in the present day storyline, Callie starts to tell Jeff that she thinks that Shauna is a bad person, that she does bad things and did bad things out in the wilderness. And it was this really good moment where Jeff is finally like,
yeah.
yeah.
He was at the point where he's like, "Listen, this is getting crazy." And then not only that, but the Joels.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that was that. I thought that was funny, and that's well. So the first time he meets the Joels again is before the talk, I think, when they get to the
Right.
hotel.
Yeah.
Then the second time, after Callie kind of gives him a pet talk, says, "Listen, like mom's doing some weird stuff. Like it's not us. Like we need to go and
Yeah.
leave." He's like, "Okay," and he gets to sign out, and he goes up to the Joels. He's like, "Listen,
My
listen,
wife sucks.
my wife fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, she is clinically insane. She ruined the dinner. I did not. You guys are making the wrong fucking choice." And he walks off, and I was like, "Dude,
Yeah. That
go
was a
Jeff,
baller move.
go Jeff,
Yeah.
dude."
I was like finally like standing up for himself and finally like I don't know. I'm a good guy. He's like I'm the good guy here. Like you want to work with me. And then he
Yeah,
just like walks away. Like it was
or
so
he's
good.
like, "You don't want to work with Furniture Center.
Yeah.
Those guys. I'm
Yeah.
your guy."
Right. Oh my God, it was so good. It was
Yeah,
so good. So yeah, this is kind of the beginning of like when Callie is like starting to tell him like I don't think mom is like who we think she is. Like I don't like I think there's like a lot more going on here than either of us understand. Um so then the episode ends with Shauna going to Alex's house with a knife after leaving the others behind. And that's kind of the last thing we see. We don't
yep.
see Melissa yet. So then we go into episode 8 called A Normal Boring Life. And it opens with Shauna at like a convenience store and she's like ringing things up and Jackie is talking
Jackie
to
shows
her
up. Yep.
and she's like, "Man, is this like who you wanted to
Is
be
this
or
what you want to
whatever?" And
do?
yeah,
Look at you
and
go,
that's kind of
Shipman.
like
Quit
yeah,
calling me
Shipman.
Shipman. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, and she's like, "Why didn't you ever tell me that?" And she's just like, "I don't know."
But then it
Um
pans down to what she's scanning, and it's like human body parts, like hands and
yeah,
ears and
right?
brains.
Yeah, it is. And that was like a great little reveal. It's like, "Oh, this is like a dream." Cuz I
Yeah,
thought I was like, "Oh, is this after they get rescued and
yeah,
like she's like back in the real world like trying to work at a convenience store? Like what is this?" Um and yeah, there's this interesting theme this season. I'm curious to see where it's going because it's been brought up a number of times where Jackie appears to Shauna and she says like is this where you wanted to be in your life? And she did the same thing when Shauna was locked
yeah.
in the freezer a couple episodes ago. And she showed up. She's like, "So is this where you wanted to be in your 40s or whatever?" And I said in the previous video that I did, I was like, that hit hard because like when she said that, like I think that about myself all the time.
Yeah.
Like, is this where you wanted to be? Like in your early 30s? Like, is this what you wanted to be doing? And it was such a just such a cutting remark without really being like, you know, blatantly
Yeah.
cruel. It was just like, is this what you wanted to be doing? And is it like the same thing with this scene where Jackie shows up and she's like, so she's like, you're just ringing things up at this store, huh?
Yeah.
Like, is that what you wanted to be doing? And it's like, oh my God.
Yep.
So great, weird little thing there. But then we see present day Shauna, and she's hiding in the closet, and we don't know it at the time, but Melissa comes down with Alex, and she she's like doing the family thing. They've got like a kid. She's like getting breakfast ready. Doesn't really do anything as far as like the closet goes. She's just like acting completely normal. And then as soon as Alex and the kid leave, she turns around to the closet and she says, I don't know who the fuck you are, but you better get out here. Like,
Yep.
it's like, oh, she knew someone was
She
there the
knew.
entire time. Like, that's so cool. Um, and so then we find out that this is Melissa, and I'm like, what? I'm like, this was the moment where I'm like, you've made me second guess myself.
Yeah.
You've made me rethink all of my theories, and now Melissa's alive. Like, oh my God. So, yeah, we get a lot of really cool stuff with Melissa where we find out that she faked her own death, and they all like went to her funeral and everything, and she changed her name to what did she change her name to?
I don't remember.
It was like Kelly or something. And she's like, she went and found Alex because at first she like felt bad that they had like killed her mom, but then they like fell in love. And Alex has no idea who Melissa is. Like,
Yep.
she doesn't know that she was part of the Yellowjackets or anything. And so Melissa,
She's living this lie, dude.
yeah,
It's kind of wild. Like,
she's
could you imagine being in that situation where, like, every day, like, you're just not being truthful? Like, not telling the person you're in love with the most important thing that they ever want to know.
right. Yeah,
Frickin' A, dude.
like Alex has no idea how her mom died because even Callie says to Jeff, and they show like the newspaper clipping or whatever, and the two explorers, Hannah and Edwin, they just went missing in the woods. Like, it was never discovered like
Yeah.
what happened to them. So Alex doesn't even know that her mom was like killed and probably eaten.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Alex like doesn't actually know what happened to her mom, and so Melissa is able to be there and never be under any suspicion because
Yeah.
Alex doesn't even know that her mom was like murdered.
Yep.
So it's really interesting. So Melissa, she couldn't bring herself to give Alex the tape, and she was tired of hanging on to it. So she sent it to Shauna. Melissa lives a good life and fell in love with Alex in a real way. She says that Shauna, oh yeah, so Shauna asks, like, are you doing all of this because you're still in love with me? And Melissa's like, what? No.
Like, you are fucking crazy.
Yeah, she's like, I don't think I was ever in love with you.
Yeah.
And she's like, when we came back, she's like, you scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. During
And
that whole conversation, and I know this is talking about even later on, but the entire time that she was talking with Melissa, I was like, Melissa's right. She's so like far off from what she thinks is happening.
Right.
Like the freezer door thing. Like, oh,
Yeah.
freezer doors just don't latch. They do. I know for a fact they do.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, good
Yeah.
Lord, this chick is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, how many stories have you heard about people getting like stuck in the freezer at work?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I've worked in a freezer.
Yeah,
Like, I've
same.
worked in restaurants. They latch. They latch shut.
Yeah.
A lot of them have a button you can press, but some don't.
Right.
Know that for
Yeah.
sure too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's like, it's something that can happen, and she
Yeah.
was so convinced
So
that
convinced. She's
yeah.
like, oh, your brake lines? You're not just driving an old car?
Right. Yeah, you're like, maybe your car's just old and your
Yeah.
brakes went out.
And it
like,
is. It's old
Yeah.
as frick, dude.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
so Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, there's all these things that Shauna thinks is going on. Um that really are like, I don't know, like,
Yeah,
and then she even says, she's like, the other ones are even more interesting too, because she's like, what if Lottie was just like super troubled and she like threw herself down a set of stairs, like,
yeah,
and Sean is like, I know you killed Lottie, and she's like, I didn't even know Lottie was dead.
yeah,
She's like, Lottie was hella fucked up. Like, what if she just like decided she was done with it and like threw herself down the stairs? And like the way, because as the viewer, you're like, oh man, all this crazy stuff is happening. There's definitely somebody after Shauna. But because you're watching the show from her perspective, it's like, yeah, you would believe that because Shauna
yeah,
believes that. But then
yep.
when Melissa says it, it's like, oh
It
yeah, like
makes
all,
perfect sense why Shauna's wrong. Like
yeah,
it just makes you believe like, no, this is not what we think it is.
yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, all of these things are like pretty mundane.
Yeah.
Like, and she
Yep.
even says, like, she's like, is it that crazy that somebody went to use the bathroom and like left
Yeah,
their
left
phone
their
in there
phone
that
with a
has like a
very
popular,
popular song on the fucking
mm-hmm,
ringtone.
right.
Good lord.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. I was like, dude, when I started hearing these things she was listing, I was
Yeah.
like, I quickly 20% per
Oh.
thing. I was like, I just got more on her side. And I was like, Shauna's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And then
Shauna's
she
crazy.
confirms it. Totally
Yeah.
confirms her craziness.
She confirms it. And what I think would be super cool is if the show does another flip and you find out it has been Melissa this
Yeah.
entire time
Would
and
be
that Shauna was
crazy.
justified for going
Yeah.
crazy.
It would be
That'd be
crazy, dude.
so cool.
Yep.
But yeah, as of right now, it just seems like Shauna is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Um, and and I think the really interesting thing is like Melissa says that like when we got back from the wilderness, she's like, you scared the shit out of me.
Yep.
And
You were
so
fucking terrifying.
yeah, and so I kind of wonder what Shauna continued to do after they got back.
I
Um,
can imagine because even when they like found rescue and were like, we're gonna follow these people out of here,
yeah,
Sean was fucking mad. Just
right,
crazy.
right.
Well, along with a couple other people too.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
assuming we'll talk about that. Yeah.
we'll talk about that for sure. So yeah, Melissa, she kind of like highlights how crazy all of the other girls' actions are, and she's like, I just wanted to live like a normal life. Like I
Yeah.
just wanted to get away from all of that and just be like completely normal. Um, and then she says something really interesting, and this goes back to the supernatural aspect of the show. She says, everything was fine for years and years and years. Like everything was good. And then something you guys did recently fucked everything up because over the past couple months, I've been having nightmares at night. I've been having random nightmares during the day. It only started up recently.
Mm,
And so I almost want to go back to like season 1
yeah.
and be like, okay, what was the thing? Like, if everybody was fine for years and then all this stuff
What was
started
the
going
one thing that
crazy,
changed? Yeah.
yeah, what was the thing that changed? And so I'd love to see, like, I almost wonder if it was like Travis's death, like him,
Mm,
like hanging himself.
yeah. That was a big turning point. I feel like for
Yeah,
you know.
because even Lottie was like there when he did it.
Yeah.
Um, And so, yeah, I'd love to go back and see like what was like the big inciting incident. And if anybody has any theories,
Yeah.
like anything we're
Please let us
forgetting,
know.
yeah,
Please.
let us know because I think it's really interesting. Like it's so telling that she said that because we can't really trust much of what the other girls say because they're all crazy.
Yep.
But Melissa has been living a normal life ever since getting back. And
Yeah.
so she's kind of the one character that we can trust. And if she says that everything was normal up until a couple months ago, because she had no idea what they were doing.
Yep. She's been
Like,
living just fine.
yeah, she's been totally separate, totally doing her own thing. And now she's having nightmares. It's like, what?
Yeah. What's
There,
causing this?
yeah,
This is
what's
weird.
causing it? There's something going on. So I really liked that line. I was like, okay. I was like, that's some theory crafting stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so then in the past, Cody is taking Aquila and Travis to get out of the wilderness.
Yeah.
And
So I think I either missed this or just forgot to. But why are her and Travis like? Did they like kind of grab them and say, "Hey, take us out of here," type thing? Let's go get help, because that's what it sounded like. But
yeah,
I
so
don't remember the situation where they actually made that start.
yeah, so everybody had kind of like split up to look
Yeah.
for Cody and Hannah, and everybody was like in teams of two.
Okay. So they
And
found him and they're like, "Listen, take us back right now. Get us to help."
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
Travis and Aquila just like found
Okay.
Cody,
Yep.
and Travis was like, just take us to the rescue point. Like, we'll send help back for the
Yeah.
rest of them.
Yeah.
And Cody was eager to do it because he was like, well, I don't want to go back to that
Yeah.
campsite.
Get
So,
me out
yeah,
of
I'll
here,
just get
dude.
you out of
For
here.
real.
Um, and so then Aquila starts being really weird about it.
Yep.
She's like, well, she's like, shouldn't we tell the others? And he's like, fuck no.
No,
He's,
we'll get them help. Like we will
yeah,
send help back for them, but we need to get out of here now.
yeah.
Then
He's
the
like, well,
entire time she's leaving pieces of her sweater so
yep.
somebody can catch it. And of
Oh my
course,
God.
Misty, the
Yep.
genius female that she is,
Yep.
catches it. Right? The
Yep.
only person on that team that would catch it.
Right.
She catches it.
Yep. Yeah, Misty finds it and starts heading back to them, and then she like tells everybody else like, "Hey, there's a trail, like I found him."
Yep, I
Um
found him. Let's go.
and then somewhere in the midst of all this, Travis tells Aquila that he lied about her
Yep.
visions and that he was just like pawning her off on Lottie.
Yeah, because he
Um
starts talking about Lottie. And he's like, "Listen, like, yeah, everything I said to you was a lie. I did not."
right.
He's like, "You saw shit because you were, I don't know, drinking something, and I saw shit because I was on mushrooms."
Right.
Hey, like we were
Yeah.
not coherent enough to say or do anything.
Right. For her it was the fumes from the cave
Yes, that's
cuz
right. Cave fumes.
they
Yep.
kept making her go back into that
Yeah.
cave. And he's like, your visions don't mean anything.
And he says that he's like, you were on cave fumes, like you were in that cave huffing
Right,
fumes, and that's why you saw what you did. And I saw
yeah,
what I did because I was taking Lottie fed me mushrooms for like 4 days.
right. So the girls catch up with them and they get Travis and Cody and Aquila back. And they decide to, they tie up Cody and Hannah. They're both like tied to this log. And they decide to get ready to go to the rescue point.
Yeah,
Lottie stands up and, you know, this is
that's
I think
she says
I
her Lottie thing, right?
yeah. Yeah, she says her Lottie thing. She's like, no, like we can't return. Like
Like
we
this
don't
doesn't
belong to
feel
that world
right.
anymore.
Like when
Yeah,
those
this
two
doesn't
showed
feel
up,
right.
nothing feels right. But then the crazy part is, who else stood up with her?
Yeah, so this isn't quite the moment where Shauna like stands up and says no, but it is the moment like we do see that Shauna is like pushing back against the idea of leaving. She's like, I don't know, guys. Like, should we really be doing this? Like,
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
it's Lottie, and then
It's Shauna.
no, not Shauna.
Well,
Uh,
at the very end,
Thaisis.
Thaisa.
Oh, I thought Thaisa was the next person
Well,
after
yeah, sorry.
Lottie.
So it's Lottie, Thaisa, and then
Thaisa and then
Shauna
Shauna.
at the
Okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah,
Um, and I kind of think the reason that Shauna is pushing back against this is because she doesn't want to give up the leadership.
yeah.
Like
She's
she,
crazy, dude.
Like she
that would not
just got
surprise
into
me.
this position of leadership, and she doesn't want
I just think that
to let it
she
go.
doesn't want anybody else to have power.
Right.
That's it. She does
Yeah.
not want anybody else to be in control, like without a doubt.
And I kind of think that's why she marries Jeff, is because she realizes that he's so
Yep.
like easily
Codependent.
manipulated.
So
Yeah.
codependent.
So then, yeah, Callie and Jeff run into the Joels again. Uh, and then Callie tells Jeff that she thinks Shauna is going crazy
Yep.
and that no one is after them, that Shauna
Yeah.
is jumping to conclusions, her own conclusions. And Jeff agrees and tells her to
Yep.
pack her bags. And then there's like this weird thing where like they're at the they're like at the checkout desk and
That
Jeff
was
like
weird as shit, dude.
yeah, he like can't bring himself to leave or something, and so he keeps talking to the person at the front.
I don't know if that was it or like
Yeah, what
my
was
my
that?
feeling was he was like starting to get some confidence about something, and he kept like
Yeah.
talking to this chick, trying to be like the confident dude. I felt like he was flirting with her, but like not in a way where he was trying to come on to her, but more in a way of like, listen, I'm a man, you
Yeah,
know,
like he needed to
like
get like his
yeah,
mojo back.
yep, had to get his mojo back
Yeah.
exactly. And then
That's
shortly,
that's a good read.
immediately after that, he goes up to the Joels and hits him with this fucking
Right.
1-2 punch, which is really good. Like he
Yeah.
does a great job and really sticks it to the Joels.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my vibe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't see it that way at first, but I definitely think that you're onto something there. And I would love to see Jeff have like a character arc where he does become this like confident guy that's
Yep,
like
independent.
leaves
Like yep,
Shauna and is independent
takes
and
Callie and they start to do awesome things.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So then back in the past, Aquila finds all of the plants
Oh,
and
that was
goats
scary.
dead.
That scared me.
Yep. And like everything is dead, like the goats are dying. And then like Lottie comes up and she's like, "Hey, what are you freaking out about?" And Aquila like looks back and everything's still
Yeah,
alive.
and a lot of like, what did you see?
Yeah.
What did you see? Like,
Yeah.
God, leave her alone,
I
Lottie.
know.
Good
Let it go.
Lord.
Let it go. But it is weird that she had a vision outside of outside of the cave. Like
Yep.
she didn't have the
That
cave
is true.
fumes
Yeah,
that
there
gave
was
her that vision.
no drugs or anything acting on her.
Yeah. So yeah, that was super interesting. And then young Natalie goes to the plane and she's
Oh,
like
that's
saying
right.
goodbye to Coach, and then she hears like footsteps and creaking and all this stuff, and she's like talking to the
Starts
spirit of the
yelling at it.
wilderness. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, "You can't have us. Like we're leaving you
We're going
behind."
home.
Yeah, is like, oh man, I bet that pissed it off.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I'd be interested to see at the end of the episode, or like near the end of the episode, we see that Shauna in the past gets the knife that she takes to Melissa in the
Yep.
future.
Yeah, we see
And
the knife and the little sheath.
sheath.
Yep.
Yeah. And I almost wonder if it's something like this that one of the girls brings back with them that brings the spirit back with them. I'm like, is there an item or like a totem of some kind
Yeah.
that like brings this spirit back? Because I wonder, I I would just love to know like how that works.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah,
Because
no.
like, oh good.
I was just say when I saw that the knife and not only that but the sheath that they focus on,
Yeah.
that was my first thought. I was like, that's something that she's had since she
Yeah.
was out in the wilderness, right? There's got
Yeah.
to be connection. There's got to be something there's a reason why they're showing just the sheath by itself,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Yeah, there's got to
There,
be.
there's got to be a reason, and it seems like something like that would be of some kind of significance. And
Yep.
do we know where that sheath came from?
I don't. know for sure. I feel like I heard somebody talking about it, or at least when Melissa and Shauna, when Shauna was like had the knife to Melissa and they were talking and she grabbed their water and stuff. I think it was brought up. I think the sheath was brought up and Melissa said something about like how you got that knife, but I don't know of anything else past that.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So this is from like an episode, like a few episodes ago. Melissa approaches Shauna, who's sharpening her special knife on her special log. She wants to be left alone, so Melissa slams down the gift that she made for her and walks away. But Shauna stops her by asking why she likes her. Uh,
Mm,
Melissa says, "You say that there's nothing to like, and sure, I get it. Jackie kind of treated you like shit. Uh, Jeff Jeff acted like you were a dirty secret and you totally let them. But now you've changed out here, and I like that you're not afraid of the bad parts of yourself anymore. The gift that she brought her is a handmade leather sheath for her
yes.
knife.
Okay.
In its own twisted way, it's quite romantic. So
Yes.
this was the first sighting of the sheath. Like
Okay. Yep.
Melissa made it for her.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'm glad I looked that up.
Yeah, that is cool.
Um, cause yeah, there's some sort of significance there, and I'm interested to see where that goes. So Thaisa is locked out of a room with her shadow self inside, who says that she's the only one who can help Van, and that regular Thaisa never believed. And before this, Thaisa went to go kill the guy that was on his deathbed, and she
Yeah, a
couldn't
heart.
quite do it.
Yeah, heart
But
like
he,
heart
but he
attack or heart something patient,
Yeah, and he did die. He ended up flatlining,
but not because of her
but not because of her. And
directly.
so it's like, will that?
That's why I say not because of her directly. I think that's very
Yeah,
important. You know.
yeah, yeah. I think it is too. Although the guy that died at the beginning of the season that like chased her and Van, and he like ran in front of the bus.
Yep, the waitress guy. Yeah, or
Yeah,
waiter. Sorry.
yeah. It's like It's like, does that count though? Like, is that because of Thaisa that that happened?
I think that was her thought process because
Yeah,
she mentioned that. She said because of that guy's sacrifice, you're better, and she was better for a while,
right.
right?
Yeah,
And so I do think that at least in Thaisa's head that is
right,
what's happening.
right. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's so hard to figure out like
Yeah,
what is
what is going on,
supernatural
dude?
and what is like going on in her head,
Yeah.
because I think this is what I liked about the show and what I may have not liked about season 2 as much. In season 2, it leaned very heavily into the this is all happening inside their head
I
kind of
remember that.
thing.
Yep.
And I was like,
I
oh, all
remember
the
a theories were like, what is this just all a dream? Like, is this
yeah,
like,
like is this just all in their heads or
yeah,
what? And I was kind of bummed that the supernatural stuff wasn't there, but season 3 does a really good job of making you question,
reality?
like, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so there's clearly a supernatural element. What is supernatural and what is in their
Yep.
head? And
Yep.
it's really hard to tell the two things apart.
Yeah.
And so I really think that they've hit their stride with season 3, because it's like the perfect mix of the two things.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll jump through the rest of these. So everybody is ready to go in the past timeline. They've got their bags packed, they're all geared up and everything. They're all ready to go. But Lottie stands up and she's like, I'm not leaving. She's like, we're not meant to leave. This isn't a good idea. Like, we're meant to stay here. She's like, she even asked Natalie, she's like, what do you have to go back to? And Natalie's like,
Not only just
everything? Like,
cannot comprehend why she would ever think that way.
yeah, and even the hikers said that they've been gone for like less than a year.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have nothing to return to. Like, it's not like they've been gone for like 40 years or
No,
something.
my initial shot initial thought was that they were just like, mind you, she's kind of crazy. Lottie's a little crazy, but
Right.
Thaisa and even Shauna was a power trip. But Thaisa, I was curious to why Thaisa would stand up too. Like I get that
Yeah.
she was having some stuff happen to her that was weird, but like I feel like out of anybody, she would have been. And even Van was like, Thaisa, get up! What are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, what are you doing right now?
Well, they had a conversation privately, and Thaisa was like, "Do we really want to go back?" And
Yeah,
Van
I
is
remember
like,
that.
"Of course we want to go
Yeah,
back."
and Tyson was like,
And
okay, like kind of just
yeah, just kind of like going along with it.
yep.
And it's like, why does Thaisa? I think the girls that all want to stay
Hmm.
all have like a deeper darkness in them.
Yes.
Like in the present day, Thaisa has her split personality.
Yep.
Lottie has like severe like
Mental issues,
mental
and Shauna's
issues and
just
like
fucking crazy.
Shauna is like extremely violent and has these like
Yeah,
urges like so
eat your own skin.
yeah, like all three of
Yeah,
them are like super, super messed up in present day. But if you look at somebody like Natalie or Melissa, they're all like fairly
they were
normal. Like,
fine. Yeah,
yeah, like Natalie had her like drug addiction or whatever, but
but
she
it was
wasn't
after,
like,
like there was
yeah,
demons that came with being out there, but she still went out and like
yeah. But
did her
it
thing.
was it wasn't like this severe like
Yeah.
mental condition.
Yep.
Um, and so I kind of wonder if this is an early look at who these girls will become, because the ones that turn out fairly normal all want to leave,
Yep.
but the ones that like have a darkness in them all want to stay. They're like
Yeah.
drawn to the wilderness.
Yeah. And
Um,
from the outset, I think that's exactly what they want you to think.
yeah.
It's like who wouldn't be in the right mind to, or how should I say that?
You wouldn't be in your right mind if you wanted to stay.
Yeah, you wouldn't be in your right mind if you want to stay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And like I don't know. We've just seen such weird like it's just interesting that the three people that want to stay are
Are
the
the
ones with
that
the
always have
most
problems. The
yeah.
most disturbing stuff that happens in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
interesting. But then Shauna they're like okay, we're leaving, and then the last thing we see
Oh yeah, that's
before
right.
the final scene is Shauna stands up and she says, "No,
No,
you're
you're
not."
not.
And
That
it's
was
like,
crazy.
okay, like how are you gonna stop us?
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm really interested to see what Shauna does. Now, I will spoil a little bit. There was somebody that was doing the math on how long they've been out there.
Mm,
And there's a certain amount of time that we know the Yellowjackets were in the wilderness for. I think it's like a year and a half or like 19 months. Yeah, 19
yeah.
months or something like that. And they haven't hit that yet.
Mm.
They're still like
Oh,
they're
okay.
still like under a year. So I
So we know
don't
they're gonna be there.
yeah, so I don't think that Cody and Hannah get them out of the wilderness.
Interesting.
Yeah, because somebody was like doing the math on it, and they're like, there's still like more time that's like
Yeah.
not accounted
It
for.
wouldn't
So like,
surprise me since because Lottie is like so connected to the spirit, right? Or
yeah,
whatever it is
yeah,
that I think her not going and her wanting to stay probably appeases and pleases this thing,
right,
right? And so it's gonna keep, it's not gonna let anybody else go.
right,
I don't see that happening.
yeah,
At least not until it's resolved, not until they figure out what's, you know,
yeah.
how they can leave.
Yeah, it's really curious. I'm just like I'm dying to know how they
Yeah.
get out of there. And the thing that's interesting too, well, okay, I'll talk about that in theories in a minute. The very last scene of the episode is Shauna and Melissa's like, I'm gonna go get a drink of water, and she like
Yep.
gets up and she like pours a drink of water, and then well before that, Melissa tells Shauna she's like, you have to blow up your life in order to feel alive. She's like, you thrive on chaos. And she's like, even before the plane crash, for some reason, you were fucking your best friend's
Yep.
boyfriend. Like, your whole life, you like thrive on this chaos and you need things to be out of sorts in
Yeah.
order for you to like not be bored. Um, and we see that even at the beginning of the show where Shauna is like, I don't know, just like heavily involved in like all this stuff and like uprooting her family and like doing all this crazy shit. And it's like, yeah, like she thrives on chaos and like everything being out of whack. And I think that Jeff and Callie are finally realizing
Yep.
that. And I hope that he leaves Shauna.
Yeah.
I hope that he bounces on her and takes Callie and is like,
If
you're
not,
fucking
bounces on her,
crazy.
then like confronts her and be like, "Listen, you need
Yeah,
to see how fucking nuts you are."
right. Yeah. Um, so then Melissa goes to grab the glass of water. She brings it back to Shauna, and in the same motion, she goes to grab Shauna's knife that's sitting on the table, and Shauna like jumps up on her, and like they take it to the ground, and they're like kicking each other and punching each other,
Yep.
and
And
like in
Melissa
the
headbutts
face.
the shit out of Shauna,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
then that's when Shauna like snaps and rips her fucking arm apart.
Right. Yeah.
Just shreds her skin off, bites it, holds it in her mouth, grabs
Yep.
it, and then tells her to eat it. Good
she
lord, dude.
she bit like a big chunk of her
Huge chunk
flesh
of her
and
flesh.
she just got blood all over
Like
her
all of her
face.
bicep off.
Yep. And and she tells Melissa that if she doesn't eat it, then Shauna will tell Melissa's whole family who she really is. And I'm just like, why is she doing this,
Yeah.
dude? Like what? Like that says something.
She's like
Like Sean,
self-destructing.
she's like self-destructing, but there's also it's almost like in this moment she's possessed by the wilderness.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
that's for sure. Cuz I
like
mean, they literally make us see her snap.
yeah,
Like they make us see her like literally have a mental break, and then it's doesn't matter. She would kill
yeah.
anything and eat anybody.
Because because Melissa has brought up like logical and reasonable
Yep.
points and Shauna cannot argue her
Can't
way around
fathom.
it
Yeah.
anymore. And so then when she can't argue anymore, she like completely snaps and like makes Melissa eat her own arm. Like what? Like what? This is the
Yeah.
first time. Like Sean has always been kind of crazy, but this is the first time we've seen anything like this. Like,
Yeah.
why would Shauna do that? Like,
Yeah.
why?
What's the point she's trying to prove?
Right.
Yeah. But I don't think we're meant to know that yet.
Yeah, for sure. And I almost kind of wonder if it's like almost a jealousy thing. Like, why why do you get to be normal when all of us have been living with like all this trauma and you
For
get to have
sure.
like this nice normal
I
life?
think that's a big part of it. The other part that I thought was too, like, like when I was a kid or a teenager or whatever, and I was lying and I got caught straight up and somebody
Hmm.
told me I was a liar, made me
Yeah.
mad. Made me
Right.
really mad, you know? And it could have been just like a split second, like, you know, where she knows she might be wrong.
Right.
But fuck you if you're going to tell me that.
Right. Yep.
You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And like I wonder if Shauna like maybe she's been living in this reality where she really does believe that somebody is out to get her.
She has been for sure. I'm so convinced of that.
Yeah.
I'm so convinced that she literally does not understand that there could be a normal reason for this. Like it's not possible for her.
Right. Right.
Nothing that could be normal about this. Whereas
And,
on the outside, we're like, when Melissa hits us with those, like you said, logical answers, we're
yep.
like, dude, that makes perfect sense,
Oh.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
She can't, it's not on her wheelhouse. It's not in her mentality to even think that
Yeah, she
because she's so
immediately
twisted.
jumps to
Yeah.
immediately jumps to someone's after me.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. And I think that's what Callie sees too.
yes, she's like maybe like nobody is after
Yeah, like
mom.
maybe mom's just crazy.
Yeah, like did we ever think of that just like nobody is after
Yeah.
her? Like
Yep.
why did we jump to
Yeah.
hiding in a hotel room? Like
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Callie and uh
Jeff.
Jeff, thank you, leave, right?
Yeah.
Because Callie's like, listen, Dad, like think about this. Think this through. That's all you gotta
Yeah.
do. Just think about it for a second and you'll be like, okay, this is a little crazy. Like this is
Yeah.
not a normal thing.
And there's a look on Jeff's face when she says that where he's
Mhm.
like you can almost see the moment where he's like fuck, you're
Yep.
right. Like,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
it's
Exactly.
so good. It's so good. Um okay, so that's the episode. Let's go into final thoughts and theories. Um the one thing that I really wanted to bring up was that in the very first episode of Yellowjackets season 1, we see the first time we ever realize that the girls are going all cannibal is a flash middle. Like it's not like
Yeah.
a flash forward all the way like 20 years forward, and it's not a flash back. It's
Okay.
like it's like at the end of their time in the wilderness. And that's when we see the like antler queen, like they're sitting in a circle and
Yeah.
she's got
Remember
like the
that.
shroud over her head.
Yep.
And there's a girl that is running from them and she falls into a pit, and they collect her and like string her up upside down and like cut into her and like set her on fire and
Oh,
stuff.
jeez, I forgot about that.
And so
I
like
remember I remember the antler queen. I don't remember the rest of that.
yeah, they're like doing this really like messed up,
Yeah,
like at that point they have like a ritual.
yeah.
And so people have been calling this girl Pit Girl, and everyone's been trying to figure out who this is.
Mm.
And now that we've seen Hannah, I kind of wonder if Hannah is the girl from that first episode.
It would make that would be the most logical answer I could think of.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's crazy,
I
dude.
I really I really want to go back and like see it. It's literally I think it's the first scene
Yeah.
in the show, like the very first thing you see. Um
Even before the girls, before the plane and stuff.
yeah, before all of that, it's like
Wow.
this weird like flash forward that gives you like the vibe for the show.
Interesting.
And so yeah, I'll have to send it to you. I'm sure it's on YouTube,
Yeah,
like
you should send it to me.
Pit Girl scene. What about you? Do you have any like theories or anything? Like from these couple episodes, is there anything that like clicked in your brain where you're like, "Oh, maybe this" or whatever? Like,
I don't think there's anything that clicked other than I think we're at like a turning point. Like I think hopefully before the end of the season in the either the finale or whatever the next episode is, we're gonna truly find out what's real to Shauna. Because I think that's where all this is stemming from,
yeah.
right? Is yeah, Sh- Shauna's shit. So it's either Shauna's right or she's wrong.
Yeah, I kind of wonder I kind of wonder if a lot of this, hinges on Shauna, and if she's kind of been the one. Like I wouldn't be
Because at
surprised.
first we thought it was Lottie, right? The
Yeah.
entire 2 seasons we thought Lottie was the person that this hinged on, and I feel like she was, a majority of this problem. But after watching season 3, I'm like, oh my god, what if Shauna was it? Like, what if she was the one that this
Yeah.
thing was attaching itself to, or like I don't know.
I
I can't get away from the fact that Shauna might be like a hinge point in this.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if later on we'll be able to go back through the series
And
and
see like
see that
yeah,
Shauna was like really orchestrating
yes,
everything.
yeah, that would be
Um
crazy.
Yeah.
But that's like where I sit right now is like the next episode. Like
I know.
I need to see what happens after this Melissa Shauna feud where she makes Melissa eat her own arm skin.
Yeah. I know. I got to know what happens next. And I really want to know, I think more than like the present day storyline, I'm interested to see like what's going on in the past, like
Yeah, for
why,
sure.
like how is Shauna gonna keep them there just because she's like, no, nobody's leaving. And it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
we all
Yep.
have guns and crossbows, like what are you gonna
Yeah, and
do?
not
Like,
only that, they're what 13 against one. Like
right,
she is clearly the only way that she can keep them there is having like a solid reason
right,
that everybody else believes. That's the
right.
only way. And so, like, what is that? Like, what's
and,
the reason?
and
How?
I think that she's gonna do that because we saw her, like, the show almost set the precedent for people listening to Shauna when Coach Ben was getting, he was on the stand or whatever,
Yes, that's right. And
and
the
they
vote was
were,
no, and Shauna was like, "Raise your hand," or not really, but she's like,
yeah,
"Vote again."
yeah,
Yeah.
and like and everybody, when Coach Ben finally was able to talk and like give his side of things, like everybody started to like fall to his
Yeah.
side. But then Shauna chimed in and she's like, "Are you gonna let this guy walk who like burned down our cabin?" And
Yep.
everybody was like, "No," and
The
like voted
voice of
against him.
evil, dude.
And it's like, I wonder if she's gonna do the same thing here.
That
I
and
just,
I'm sure she
man,
can, but I really feel like there's
a
got to
good
be
reason.
something that she says. There's got to be
Yeah,
something that she knows or has seen or says that like really sells it because
yeah,
I feel like at this point they are so everybody was so barely against not leaving, you know?
right,
Like everybody was willing to go and so excited. Like
yeah,
she has to have a solid reason for them not to leave. So what is
yeah,
that? What could that be? You know?
yeah. I talked about this in the video I did a couple weeks ago, but I really want to not only see the moment that they get rescued, but I hope there's like a season of them
Yes.
reintegrating back into
Yep.
normal life. Um, because I think that would be really interesting because I don't think because there's so much stuff that happens even when they get back, like with Natalie getting super into drugs and Travis
Same with
dying.
Travis. Yep. Travis got
Yeah.
into drugs really bad too, I think.
Yeah,
With
he
Natalie,
was
yeah.
right along with
Yep.
Natalie. So I'm just like, there's no way that they end the show with them getting rescued. I'm like, I think there's more beyond that. But at this point, I really don't know, like, if Melissa isn't the one that's like hunting down Shauna and everybody, like what else is there to do in the present day storyline?
Yeah.
Like like what what's the big driving force? And I'm really interested to see if they turn Shauna into like a villain
Mm.
who's like the rest of the girls are
Yeah.
like actually trying to fight against Shauna.
Yeah.
Um that could be interesting. But unless like there's just no more big storylines in the present day. And so I'm
Yeah.
really curious what they're going to do with the present day storyline to keep the audience engaged and keep them coming back and everything. Like, is there anything you'd like to see resolved in the present day storyline? Like anything like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know because the concept of the show is so wild. Like
Hmm.
just so unbelievably out of my wheelhouse. I don't know. I would like to see, and again, this just goes with what I said. I'd like to see what happens next. And I think, yeah, the biggest thing is if Shauna's it, is she the reason?
Yeah.
I know that's a lot. That's probably the entire show is figuring that out. But
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what else.
Yeah. I don't
Because like the
really.
coach is dead. That's
Yeah.
resolved. He's gone.
Yeah.
We kind of know what's going on with Hannah and obviously the dead husband, which we saw die,
Yeah.
at least for the most part. Not the
Right.
husband, but Hannah.
Right.
And so it's like I don't know. I feel like we're at kind of a point where we need the next big like holy crap to happen.
Yeah, we need the next like turn of the story that
Yeah.
introduces a new
Yep.
plot.
Yep.
Um, because like the Van and Thaisa plot is ongoing, and that'll be interesting to see how that
It's ongoing,
resolves.
but it's also expected. Like I kind of
Yeah,
like I've always like since the start, I've kind of seen the way that would go. You
right.
know,
Yeah,
like it wasn't anything crazy when I saw what was happening because I figured that's what would happen. But like,
right.
yeah, we need the next like what is going on
Yeah,
thing.
we need the next big twist, the next big like plot, something that moves the plot forward a
Yeah,
little bit. Because right now we're kind
at
of
a
at a standstill. Like,
yep,
even though we've gotten like a lot of good reveals and a lot of like, oh man, that's crazy moments, it's kind of like, okay, so where do we go from here?
yeah,
Um, and so I'm really interested to see how they do that, I
yep.
guess.
I'm convinced we'll see it in the next, at least the rest of the season. Like
Yeah,
I don't think they would finish the season without something like that because that's what the show does, dude. Like that's the whole point of this show.
yeah. And I kind of wonder, I'm like, what is the finale to this season?
Yeah,
Like,
no shit.
how do they wrap that up in a
Yeah.
way that's like satisfying but also sets things up for the next
Yep.
season? Um, and I feel like there has to be they've what they really need is a big reveal that involves the thing in the wilderness. Like
Yeah.
we need
Yeah, we got to see the guy with no eyes. We got
yeah.
to figure out what his deal is.
Yeah, we gotta find out like
At least this tidbit. Like
yeah,
give
like
me a fraction of an answer and I will be hooked.
yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the next big reveal is. I can't really imagine what it is too
Yeah.
well. But I'm really excited for it, and we only have 2 episodes left. We got in just a couple days we get the next episode.
Nice.
And then a week later we'll be wrapped up. So
Crazy. It's not wrapped up it's just a season, right?
just
Are
this
they gonna
season, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Not
Good.
not for good, but
Thank God.
yeah. Cool. And then hopefully we get the next Fallout season here pretty soon. I'm
Yeah, I
hoping.
still haven't watched that.
Yeah. Oh God, that's right.
I need to so
Dude, how you're like a fan of Fallout. How
I
have you
love
not watched
Fallout. I don't
Fallout?
know. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm not
It's
sure why.
it's so bizarre. It's
I
such
know.
a
I
good show
watched
too.
it and I loved it. Loved it. I would like was ready to watch the next episode, just never did.
Oh my God.
I will though.
Um
Just keep reminding me, keep bothering me about it.
cool. So yeah, I don't really know what other shows are coming up after Yellowjackets. I know that we have
Dude, we need to do you need to finish From.
oh yeah,
That's what you need to watch. We could do a crazy video series on From. Just
that's
like this
right.
one. Just like this one.
Yeah, we totally could. I
Yep.
I would like that. I would yeah, because I really really like that show. And then the new season of Dexter comes up in June, so
Oh,
that's
okay.
really good.
It's my birthday.
Nice. What
Hmm.
what what day is your birthday in
June
June?
5th.
June 5th. Okay,
Early June, yeah.
cool. And then yeah, when does this show? There's a show coming out called Your Friends and Neighbors, which looks really good, which is like this suburban dad that starts like he starts like stealing from all his neighbors because he like loses his job or something. And so he becomes like a burglar and like starts like robbing all of his neighbors' houses, and they can't figure out who it is. So that looks good.
That
That's coming
sounds
up pretty
awesome,
soon.
dude.
But yeah, I don't really know what else is what other big shows are coming out soon. But yeah, we'll find stuff to talk about after Yellow Jackets, I'm sure. All right, guys. Well, we are going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and chatting Yellow Jackets with us. I'm really excited to see where this show goes. I think what we'll do next is we'll probably just wait until the finale and then do 9 and 10 in one episode. So we will see you guys again when we do that. Don't forget to reach out on Twitter or Discord if you'd like to talk to us, or just leave a comment down below and let us know what your Yellow Jackets theories are, because we would love to hear from you guys about what you think is going on. As always, you can support us on Patreon if you'd like to. It helps us buy new equipment and pay for like Adobe Premiere and all that kind of stuff, because none of that is super cheap. And you also get to watch these episodes live as we record them, way ahead of when YouTube gets to see them. So
all unedited.
You get to see all of the behind
raw
the scenes
craziness that happens that Spencer is not allowed to edit out.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in a couple weeks for the finale of Yellow Jackets Season 3. Bye, everybody.